Hello there, welcome to this special Designed By show where we're going to see a Designed By Gemma Crow. Fantastic, how are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
This is bright and beautiful, isn't it?
Isn't it? It's full of sunshine and it's lovely.
Isn't it just? It's absolutely gorgeous. You've got a mixture of gems of distinction strands in here with some beautiful handmade spacer beads with some gorgeous wire as well. It's a really, really lovely bundle. Let me show you what's in it. We've got citrine small nuggets, which are just gorgeous, like little drops of sunshine. Gorgeous little drops of citrine here. These are around about 9 by 7 millimeters in diameter. You've then got a strand of beautiful carved leaf white quartz beads. Now you can see here, hopefully, that these have been carved into these beautiful leaf shapes. They're just stunning, aren't they? You really get a sense of the work that's gone into this gorgeous strand. Just gorgeous. It's pretty much a custom cut strand, which is so impressive. How about some fuchsia banded agate? I'm racing through these strands a little bit because we've got a lot to get through in this show. Beautiful fuchsia banded agate plain 10 millimeter rounds. And to finish it off, a gems of distinction strand. Oh wow, of beer quartz. This is a favourite of pretty much every guest designer that we have here on Jewellery Maker. Beer quartz, it's just awesome. When it's gems of distinction, briolette cuts. Oh my goodness me, they're stunning, aren't they? You're going to be getting a whole load of gemstones here, lots of different textures, lots of different qualities, loads of different surfaces to work with, which is just going to make this a particular project absolutely wonderful. How about we add to this amazing collection some handmade gold-plated copper beads. These are gorgeous. These are all handmade out in Jaipur in India, and you're going to be getting a selection of 7 of these, ranging from coins to teardrops to squares. And Gemma has put these has included these in her design so beautifully. So 7 of your beads, and then how about 10 meters of 1 millimeter gauge fuchsia coloured copper wire. So that's 1 millimeter gauge, 10 meters, and 10 meters of 0.4 millimeter gauge gold plated, not gold coloured, gold plated copper wire. This really is a stunning, stunning collection. And before we recorded the show today, Chloe, who's actually producing it at the minute, said that it reminded her of kind of like a Bollywood. It had like a Bollywood theme to it, and it really does. The kind of pinks and the golds are so wonderful together, aren't they? Just gorgeous. 4 gemstone strands. 20 meters of wire, 7 of these handmade beads as well. The perfect collection for summer. And when you see the the focal piece that Gemma has created with this incredible bundle, it's perfect for the bridal season and for the prom season as well. Today, for this awesome bundle, this is your price. $44.95. Stunning. Absolutely gorgeous. You've got your beautiful genuine gemstone strands, so your carved leaves, you've got your gems of distinction briolette cut beer quartz, your banded agate, your stunning citrine, 20 meters of wire, and of course 7 of your handmade gold-plated copper handmade beads as well, which is just so beautiful. Now I'm going to head straight over to Gemma. This is a lovely, lovely collection, Gemma. Were you inspired by anything in particular, or by a certain design? What made you put all these together?
No, this fuchsia's everywhere at the moment, and I've been doing a lot of proms
lovely.
and jewellery for proms, and every other girl I work with is chosen these beautiful bright jewel colours. So we've got, you know, the blues and the pinks and the golds together, and I just wanted to create something along those lines, especially leading up to the prom season. I
know what you mean about these jewel colours. Everything from your emerald greens to your amethyst tones to your black currant tones. These really vivid colours just look awesome. Gemma, this is amazing. This is a work of art. It's absolutely incredible. Wowza! Now this is a corsage, isn't it? Like a corsage cuff. We're going to get straight into how to make this, because I know that there are going to be so many of you who want to see and be inspired by this. Gemma, how do we start?
Right, I'm going to show you the frame, and then after that it's quite repetitive, so I only need to show you one stage as we go along, and hopefully you can pull it all together yourselves. So to start, we make the frame out of 1 piece of wire. I've cut about 1 metre length. Yeah. And it's 1 mil, so it'll hold its shape nicely. take your mandrel or a pen to the centre of the wire roughly, and you're going to make a loop, cross those wires over,
okay,
and then give them a twist. Keep your mandrel in place while you twist them. That will help your loop hold its shape.
Lovely.
So I've twisted twice there, and that's my loop now for putting a hook through to fasten the piece.
Ah, okay, lovely.
Okay, then splay these out so that they're running in a straight line. And I've done all this by eye, but if you're a measuring sort, please measure, it's up to you, but I tend to get a bit confused when it comes to measurements, so.
I know exactly what you mean.
So it's quite a wide cuff, so I've gone probably 1.5 inches.
So that's half of it, isn't it?
That's half, that's right, so remember you're doing half. And then use your pliers and push against your pliers to give you a nice strong angle.
Ah, perfect, okay.
And then the same amount on the other side, roughly. Okay, nice strong.
Lovely.
So 2 quite strong angles there. Right, and then pull this down, and you do, if you're making this for somebody in particular, you might want to measure their wrist and see how big you need the corsage. But remember, because it's quite a wide cuff, you do need it slightly longer than a normal bracelet. So I'd recommend doing the cuff, the actual cuff of 7 inches-ish, and then the clasp will then lengthen that slightly further. So I'm going to use my beadboard to get me a rough 7-inch length there.
Yeah.
And again, pliers in and make a sharp angle, and then repeat on the other side.
Okay.
So I'm working with it flat here.
Yeah.
Okay. So
gorgeous.
So there's our basic frame, and we need to pull these together to make a hook now the other side. So.
And do you make a loop on the other end as well?
Don't make a loop, I make a hook on this side.
Ah!
And that's going to hook through the loop once it's bent round.
I see, look at this.
So what I'm doing is straightening out these wires so that they match, so that they meet each other. If I can get them to sit still.
Stunning. Wow, such a rigid bangle, isn't it? It's lovely picking it up and just looking at it. It's amazing how much rigidity, I think that's a word, that you get from the 1mm gauge wire. It's stunning, isn't it?
It has, especially when you're making lots of bends and twists in wire, then it obviously gets stronger and stronger the more you work with it.
Gorgeous.
So you can see there I've got my frame.
Lovely.
And I've bent my 2 wires out so that they're together, and I'll use a piece of wire. When I'm doing anything like this, I've always got lots of strips of my 0.4 wire ready, so I can just grab them quickly to secure something in place.
Yeah.
So I always have a little stack of them cut up and ready to use.
Good tip.
And bind that together, just to keep it together. Okay, so I'm just wrapping the wire around those 2 strands, and keep going until you just run out. That's how I tend to do it. Okay. So now these need to become a hook. So keep them together. Treat them as if they're one wire now. Just have them lying down together, lying side by side. Trim them off so that they're the same length. And then, as if you were making any other hook fastening, just use both, but just doing both together. So one end, make your tiny loop.
Ah, stunning.
Make a tiny loop. That's going to be the very end of the hook. You might need to go in the other side as well because they're not secured together yet.
Ah.
Just keeping them roughly the same.
Okay.
Okay. And then bend them. So you've made your loops one way, and then bend them back the other direction to make your hook. Now this hook is quite long, but you might want to make a shorter hook. And then to keep that together, what I would do is continue binding with my 0.4.
Yeah, I've actually got the finished article here.
Continue binding with your 0.4 wire so that that hook is secured together as if it's one piece of wire.
That's stunning, isn't it? Yeah, we can see that. That's gorgeous. Thank you, Gemma.
Right. I suggest you keep it flat now until you finish working as well, because it's easier to work with it flat than it is to work with it bent into position.
Perfect.
Okay, so next Next, I'm going to talk you through the flower.
Ah, yeah.
Which looks complicated, and it's quite 3D, but it is made up of 3 separate sections of petals. Okay, so I'll show you how to do them. I'll show you how to do the first one, and then I'll show you how to stack them up.
Perfect.
I leave my wire on the roll because you can never guess how much you're going to need until you know, it's hard to guess, and there's no need to cut it off. I'm going to make, on the end, I'm going to make a tiny little loop. All this is going to do is help me fasten it when it comes to the end.
Okay.
So I've made a tiny little loop, and then for this section what I've done is I've made 3 sections exactly the same as how I'm going to show you this one, but they've started, one was larger, then a middle size, and then a baby size. So
you just use more wire for the other ones?
So you just make these petals shorter or longer, and I'll show you how to do each one.
Oh, I see what you mean.
So I'm going to make these my shorter petals. So what I'll do is I'm just going to round that off slightly, and then put my flat nose pliers in and hold very firmly, and then push the wire against my pliers, again, to get that nice point. So I always use my pliers to make that nice sharp V.
Lovely.
Okay, and then use my thumb just to bend that wire round. So now you can see we've got, got this petal shape. So you can see where these 2 wires meet. So to make them the same size, put my round nose pliers in.
Oh gosh.
There. So you are swapping pliers a lot in this one.
Yeah.
Roll it back on itself, and use your thumb to push and give it that curve, and then pliers in at the top level with the petal that came before. Again, use your fingers to push firmly against it to make that V, and that you keep going like that. 13 petals we need, so we keep going with your round nose pliers at the bottom and your flat nose to make the peak at the top. Okay, and we do this 13 times.
And if you're going to be using, well, if you're going to be making the medium or the larger size dahlia, then you just make the petals longer, I suppose.
You make 3 lots of these.
Yeah.
And each just getting smaller or larger, whichever way around you're doing it.
It's nice that you're using the kind of natural curve of the wire as well. The wire's really doing a lot of the work for you, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Keep an eye on this as you go through. I mean, I'm not measuring, as you can see, but sometimes you get sort of halfway through and realise you're actually twice the length where you started.
You're getting longer and longer,
It's slightly bigger each time, so keep referring back to the first one you made.
Brilliant.
And it doesn't matter if if you've got one that is slightly bigger or slightly smaller, because in nature nothing's ever the same anyway.
No.
So those petals are all going to be slightly different from one another.
Oh, that's lovely.
Okay. So I might not do the whole 13 here.
That's okay to get a really good idea of how to do that.
So if I just do this one, I should be able to make it pull round. Right, so I'm going to pretend that's 13 petals.
Oh, look at that. Isn't that gorgeous?
And, there's no saying you have to do 13. It's just that was what gave me a nice...
numbers, I think, do work better with flowers, don't they?
Yeah,
3s and 5s and 7s.
They do, and it just gave me a full flower, which is what I wanted. It was inspired by the dahlia. It's not anatomically correct, but it is inspired by...
That's okay.
Is that all right? You let me off.
I think it's the Fibonacci series. We're trying to work out what the odd number in Mother Nature is. I think it's the Fibonacci series. Useless fact for you there. I've watched the Da Vinci Code.
Something to do with the Da Vinci Code, yeah. And Isaac Newton has a theory, I think, about numbers as well.
Something like that, yeah.
Right, so...
Something to do with gravity, wasn't it?
He had something with numbers as well.
Probably.
He did.
Awesome.
So we're going to repeat what I did at the very beginning and make a little loop. Okay. So those loops now, when we pull them together, it pulls our petals around.
Yeah.
And makes this flower shape. You do have to manipulate it slightly.
Oh, that looks great.
There's our basic flower.
Yeah.
So again, use one of your lengths of wire. In fact, you'll need a longer length of wire for this. This is like sewing, this bit. Basically, you stitch it all together. So you would thread through those 2 loops. That would hold the petals around together.
Lovely. Yeah.
And then what I would do is there's the 2 sets I made earlier, one large set, one slightly smaller set, and then this smaller set again will sit on top of that set.
Gorgeous.
and then you just take your wire and stitch them together. That's it. So it's just like you're sewing. So you wire through, and then just in between each petal, you can pull your wire back through, and you're just repeating and just stitch that all the way round. Okay, they all sit together. Don't worry about shaping the petals until after you're finished. In the centre, I've threaded on one of these lovely copper
these
beads.
little handmade beads are awesome, aren't they?
If I can get that threaded
I
on.
know, they do take a bit of time sometimes.
Nice.
Yay!
Okay, and you can see that formed the centre of my flower.
Yeah, lovely.
And just wrap that in. Okay.
Oh, see that? So you could stop there, and that could be a brooch, that could be a hair slide, it could be a pendant.
Fabulous fascinator.
Oh, isn't it just
Okay.
gorgeous? Okay.
So then that attaches to your frame.
And do you put it bang in the middle?
Yes.
Is that where you want it?
Yeah, it
okay.
was. Yeah, bang centre on the frame. So that sits in there. And again, you just use these wires just to wrap it into place.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Fantastic. Okay.
Right, now I'm going to show you the swirly bits quickly.
Oh,
and
yes,
I think
please.
That might be all you need to know.
Yeah, fantastic. Let's have a look at these little swirly bits then.
Once you've done one, you can repeat, do the others. So I've cut a length of wire, probably about 20 centimetres, 10-ish inches, and I've threaded on, this is random, this part, you thread on whatever you like, but these little carved leaves are gorgeous. So I've threaded on a little carved leaf, and then done a little spiral.
And isn't it lovely that you can, I'm just looking at the pink wire swirls attached to the physical bangle. So nice that you can see the gold-plated wire anchoring it in place. You can really see the workings of this. It's beautiful.
That's it. I think that with the two wires work so nicely together. It actually is a feature, the wrapping.
Yeah,
the mechanics
really
are actually a feature for a chain.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's just that.
Okay, so I've just, now it really is free form. So just thread on a bead, do a little swirl and a twist. I'm going to swirl that there. Thread on another bead.
Would you attach the flower on before you do these swirls, or would you attach it on afterwards?
I will put the flower on at the very end.
Ah, okay.
You always have to keep an eye up sort of where you need to decorate your frame.
Exactly, yeah, that's what I was thinking, yeah.
But keep an eye, you can see there's not much to do, but remember, when that's pulled around, this is going to sit slightly proud, so you are going to see slightly underneath
it.
So it's not going to be finished there, otherwise you'll have a gap. So you need to sort of work so you've only got a small gap in the centre.
Okay, lovely.
I've threaded on a few beads, and this is really, really free form. So just wrapping around the beads, making some swirls and loops.
Shows you how wonderful this wire is to work with,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
it is really nice and soft.
Lovely.
So now I'm going to use a little citrine, which is so lovely. Really sunny, aren't they?
Yeah, they're gorgeous.
Okay, so I'm sort of happy with what I've got on my thread there, my
Lovely.
wire. Make another spiral. Spirals are great. Master, always, get to grips with your spirals because they are great. They hide all the sins and they're decorative.
Yeah, it's just, and it acts as a nice stopper in this case, doesn't it?
That's right, it's keeping the beads in place.
Yeah.
Right, so you can see I've made that so it's roughly the same width or length as my bangle.
Perfect, okay.
And then it's a case of making lots of components like that and just tying them in. So you're just twisting them in or wrapping them in. So I use one of my little sections of wire I've cut off and wrap where the wire's touched. So I always do a couple of wraps and leave the ends. And then again, here where they touch here in this section.
Yeah, lovely.
Give that a wrap.
It's just, it's common sense, this bit, really, isn't it? You're weaving onto the frame at the point in which the wires touch the frame.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
it. So
lovely.
wherever it touches, and what I've done in some of them, where you can see it creates where they touch, and because it's a swirly pattern, you can see that it creates a little sort of V, and in those gaps, I've threaded these little tiny beer quartz.
See if I can find one. You've got one here. In this corner here.
That's it. So when I wrap round until I get to a point where it's wide enough just to slot in one of those beer quartz, and they just catch the light so beautifully and just sit snug in those little gaps.
I was going to ask you how you incorporated the beer quartz, because presumably you can't get the beer quartz onto the 1mm gauge wire, but you can get it onto the thinner wire, I should imagine. Yeah, that's right.
So the 0.4 wire goes through it perfectly. So I would keep doing that, and I'd just make as many of these components as I needed to fill up my frame, and then add in my flower. And in the bracelet here I have...
feel free.
Can I take it over?
Yeah, sure.
The bracelet here I have made these so that it sort of spills up the arm and down the hand. And that is, if I show you quickly how to add those in.
That would be nice to see.
And it really is very simple. So again, before you put the flower on, just cut a few lengths of wire and attach them to the frame.
So you really do leave the flower till last, don't you?
Yeah. Attach them to the frames like so. So you've got 3 wires. And then thread your gemstones on and just cut them off wherever
So do you attach these by using the gold 0.4mm gauge wire?
Again, I would use the 0.4, just my little section.
It's so useful, isn't it?
And just wrap them in. So I'd wrap around. And I always just do 1 or 2 wraps, and I cut all the ends off after, because you never know. You might think I need that bit of wire to wrap something else in place as well. So just secure them all in. And then I've just popped a bead on and a swirl, or you can do whatever you like for that section. I just wanted it to continue. I didn't want it to be just flat. I wanted it to sort of spill up and down the arm, you know? And
can you explain how you get the bangle to go around your wrist? Because you've essentially got a flat shape here. How do you get it into this shape?
Well, you can use a bottle. I was going to say a brand name then, but a drinks bottle, your fizzy drinks bottle is an ideal shape. Yeah, definitely. You can use that, or you can use your own wrist if you know. Of course, if it's for yourself, use your own wrist. But just do it slowly. So take your frame and just do 1 bit at a time, all the way around, because and it will go. If you try and just go like this, you might find it bends in one place, but just slowly ease it round rather than trying to force it round. Just 1 bit at a time. Would you mind showing us, Jem? Would you mind just showing how you've incorporated some of these beer quartz? You know, these longer pieces of wire that you've got on here. Okay. Might be nice to see how you've attached one of the copper beads and the beer quartz as well, using the 0.4mm gauge wire. That's fine. If I can just get one of these beads from here. So this stem is the one I showed you that we attached to the frame, sort of centrally. So it runs right through. This is 1 piece of wire from this end to this end. It almost acts like a compass, do you know what I mean? It's kind of the north to south line, isn't it? It's lovely. Really balances it. North of this one to this one is 1 piece of wire. It just goes all the way around the back of the frame. Right, okay. And the same for the 2 either side there. One piece of wire runs right through. If I show you before it's attached to the frame. Yeah, that'd be nice. It was probably easier to do it beforehand and then thread it on, to be honest. With the benefit of hindsight. That's it. Right. So I've threaded on one of my lovely brushed copper beads, and then there's probably 4 or 5 centimetres left. Double that back. So you've got like a little bird. Like yeah, it is, isn't it? A little bird. And then I've used the short tail then to wrap. You have to be quite firm on this because it is a 1mm wire, and doing these fine twists is harder. So quite firmly hold it, twist it around and around the stem there. And then with the end, I think I've made a coil, a little spiral that I then push on top of the bead. So I'm going to trim it off, maybe 2 and 3 centimetres there. Lovely. We've got plenty of time, Gemma. Okay. Make a coil. Okay. So you can see I've spiralled that one. Lovely. I know what you mean about practicing your spirals. Yeah, you use them in every, I don't think there's one piece I don't use a spiral when I'm using wire. So it's just so lovely. The lovely way to finish pieces off. But I think that adds to that sort of Bollywood idea. That Bollywood look that we were talking about highly earlier. Embellished. So there you go. So that's that little pointy bit there. And then, to get those beer quartz on, what I've done, taken some 0.4 wire,
There you go.
Okay. And let's give this a little, just wrap that round to secure it to the wire for a minute. And this would actually be secured to the frame if you were working on it anyway. Yeah, of course.
Okay.
So a few wraps around. And then these are sort of like little petals, aren't they? Little leaves.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Or buds on a stem. I've added in a beer quartz, and they're top drilled, these beer quartz, so they do sit nicely. And then just threaded one on.
Look how beautiful that is. Look how the light catches it.
And then just continued wrapping. And then add in another.
I love the idea of using the beer quartz like this, and also to fill in the corners like you were saying earlier on. It's just a lovely gemstone that you can fill in those little nooks and crannies with. It's gorgeous.
That's right, and it's the little details that make the difference, I think. Little details like that make a difference in your designs, and they just sort of hiding in there, and a lovely surprise when you find them.
Yeah.
Okay, so there you can see it's already forming. You use your finger to guide them. You don't want them to sit down. Well, you might want them to sit downwards, but I want mine to sit upwards. So you just make sure you're holding them in place in the right position when you wrap. So again, thread another one on.
Lovely.
And then...
And I can imagine a project like this with pearls and with smoky quartz, and you could make it vintage, you can make it really contemporary with some really strong angular gemstones as well. This could go down so many different avenues, couldn't it?
Yeah, it would look lovely with the antique.
Oh,
antique
definitely,
wire.
yeah. Look at that,
all
of the
colours. So that's, and then you would continue doing that all the way up to the top. So you've got all of your... You can see it working.
Oh, isn't that beautiful? And then you attach that to the frame, and then you've got your gorgeous finished piece.
You have, and I mean the attaching to the frame is literally sewing. You'll feel where it needs securing, and just put in a few more stitches with the gold wire, and you know the gold wire is decorative, so it doesn't matter how many stitches you need to make.
Isn't that stunning? Something really, really beautiful to inspire you here. You've got such a lovely, lovely piece of jewellery here. And what's so nice about the design that you've created today, Gemma, is the fact that every single piece is going to be different. I can't wait to see the Wall of Fame entries that we get over the next few weeks and months with from people who've been inspired by watching this incredible show today. Oh, it just shows you what you can make with creative know-how and just allowing the wire to do a lot of the work for you. It's amazing how wonderful this wire is to work with, and and especially when I saw you making the petals, it really does do a lot of the work for you, doesn't it? It's stunning.
Yeah, it does. I was sat with some ladies yesterday preparing for this piece with the Gloucestershire beaders, and they all picked it up straight away. It's because it's so repetitive and easy once you know how. You know. So
fantastic,
hopefully.
Beautiful, genuine gemstones as well. With this project, was there any kind of one tip that you found? I wish I'd have known that before I started making it. Was there anything that you wish you'd have known before you started making it? Anything which you can impart to everybody out there?
The little loops that I did on the beginning of the dahlia, before I started doing the petals, they're a useful tip that only developed sort of recently for me, because you get to the end and think, oh, how do I attach them? So don't forget those little loops. But no, I think maybe I've just done this on the demo. I think maybe I would have attached these in after I decorated them rather than trying to decorate them on the frame.
We've just come up with another one now. Fantastic. So perhaps with the strips of wire that you put behind the flower, adorn them with the gemstones first and then attach them on. That probably would be a lot easier, actually.
That's your thought, that is, Carol. Thank you for that.
Fantastic. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous collection, this one. You've got your fuchsia banded agates, you've got your citrine, your carved leaves. We don't really talk much about the carved leaves, but they're just beautiful. And again, because you're using such an exciting gemstone with such an awesome, awesome shape and size, it's going to make your jewellery look even more wonderful, even more professional, if you like. And then, of course, the beer quartz as well, which is just stunning. And please don't forget, you get your 2 lots of wire as well. You get your 10 metres of 0.4mm gauge gold-plated copper wire, and then 10 metres of your 1mm gauge fuchsia pink coloured copper wire as well. Sorry, I'm just kind of stalling there. Are these the gemstones you've got left over?
This is what's left. And then the section of wire you've got cut there.
There you go.
I mean,
this is what Gemma's got left from the project. This is how much more you could even make with these.
You could make this at least 4 times over, I'd say.
Fantastic.
You might need a little more coloured wire, but I'd say about 4 times you could make that.
Thank you so much, Gemma. It's been brilliant having you with us today. Thank you so much. Enjoy and get making.